afternoon, good evening. Hi, Jessica. Nice to see you. Welcome, Bev, Lisa. Excited to be here with everybody today for what we're going to be talking about. The pause that... Oh my gosh, hold on just a minute. Something in my kitchen. Okay. That was spirit. Oh my. So before we dive in, or as we dive in, hi April, it's been a while. Glad to see you. Dawn, welcome. J.E., Caitlin, Wendy. Interesting. I don't know the dynamics of phone, web browser, on the computer. It's great that it shows up. Whew. So I did not take a pause right now. I had something going on the stove and I meant to set a timer to remind me, and I forgot because in my doing of getting to this live stream and all the things that I've been doing to get ready and transitioning from one activity to the next and not being mindful so much, I forgot to set the timer. And thank goodness that one of the pots kind of tumbled a bit anyway and made the noise. So because that would have been on the stove and could have been very dangerous. I'll just say thank you, Spirit. Interesting. And perfect for our conversation today. So welcome everybody for what we're doing here today and looking at transformation, looking at the pause when you're in the sort of in-between place, even thinking about, I read tarot cards, as many of you know, and tarot, the card deck itself has a journey embedded within it in the first 21 cards of the tarot that are called the major arcana. And there's a card called the Tower, which many of you I'm sure know or have heard of, and then there's a card called the Star. So that's kind of the energies of what we're going to be talking about today, is the Tower to the Star. I wonder if I'll have a synchronicity to where I can just pull. Yeah, here's the Star. Let's see if I can just magically pull the Tower out. I won't put too much effort and just trust we're meant to see whatever we're meant to see. Yep, and here's the Tower. Ooh, awesome, Cream. So, look at the energy of this Tower. What does that bring up for you? And does that bring to mind any specific experience you just had or feel like you're in the middle of having right now? You can see this is a tree. The lightning is striking, and it is just causing major upset, major breakdown, major crumbling of a structure. And you can see like the squirrel is being affected by, he's living in this tree and his home is being demolished by this lightning strike. So how many of you can relate to this happening right now, or you've come out of that, but you're not yet over here in this star energy? Maureen, story of your life. Yeah, so there's an overcoming, cream, that happens in the space in between. So that's what this live is about, is like the pause or the space in between this tower moment and this transformation of the star. So there's old structures that get to crumble, and this tower energy can be very challenging. It can be disorienting. It can feel, there can be a lot of fear, uncertainty, doubt, because you no longer have the old structures and you don't know what to stand on. Yes, it can feel overwhelming. And the amazing thing is, look at the beauty of the star. And so it's like this has to occur to make room for this. Because if you're just stuck in whatever these old structures are, how can anything new happen? There can be confusion. And so we want to look at the middle place in between, where you're no longer the old self and no longer having these structures in place, but yet you're not here yet at the star. There can feel like there's restlessness, uncertainty, and this space in between, this pause as we're calling it, is where the deepest shifts can happen. So we're going to explore today and dive into this, and by the end you'll have more peace in the space in between. You'll have more clarity on what the space and pause is here to teach you, and you'll feel like you have a place to go, a step to move forward into the star. And I wasn't even planning on bringing cards in. I wasn't even thinking of the tower or the star. It just that's what happens sometimes, which is great. And I also see at the bottom of the deck this Four of Swords energy. So this, you just can't make this shit up, as I always say. This is the pause. Four of Swords. It's more perfect than what I could say for you to have this visual of being in this space where you're resting and you're holding yourself and you're being held. And so we want to look at, how are you holding space for yourself and holding yourself, and what is your nest? What are the things in your life that are your external supports? Look at how lovely the little wooden pieces of the nest are like hugging her and holding her. So I want you to evaluate as we dive in, and I'm a bit jumping ahead, and that's fine, and it's here right now. So evaluate your internal and self-supports and self-care and the things that you're doing right now in this pause. Is it enough? Is it working? And what's working? And then think about your external support system. What is working with your external supports? Is there enough? And what's not working there? So share what's coming up for you in the comments. Great, this is hitting home for you, Cream. Wow, that sounds really, powerful and pertinent to, having a tower moment for sure. And that you will be different on the other side of being a caregiver to your mom who's now in hospice. That's a lot to hold. Hi, Anastasia. Glad this is resonating. Bev, your children are support. That's wonderful that you have that relationship. So I'll give some other examples of, what the pause place can be. So after a breakup and before a new relationship, leaving a job but not having another one yet or not starting it yet, moving to a new place and feeling ungrounded, in limbo, children leaving home, being empty nest, being in an empty nest, ending a major chapter of healing. So type yes if you've ever been in that in-between place. If you can recognize that, and if you're there now, what that looks like for you. Cream, noticing self-care has taken last place. So Cream, if here is the invitation for you, and here is your action step. And if anybody else can relate to self-care taking last place, what a massive invitation for you to think about, what can I do to incorporate some self-care? And it doesn't have to be, I need to go book a week-long spa vacation. Right? The mind will go into, it's got to be huge. It's got to be this monumental big event of self-care, going from it being last place to being everything. So no. And if that's if that's possible, if that's available and that's easeful for you, great, go do that. And it doesn't have to be that way. It can be like, okay, by the end of the day today, what is one tiny self-care action I can take? Right? And yeah, some of you, it might be curling up in a ball on the bed. Oh, Bev, I totally can imagine. That's wonderful, Dawn. So it sounds like you are having a space of self-care, rest, self-compassion. Hey, Rochelle, good to see you again. So I didn't introduce myself, so I will do that now, and we'll pause for just a moment. So I'm Natalie, spiritual life coach, Reiki Master Teacher, and teacher here on Insight Timer for 4.5 years. So if you don't already, give me a follow. Here is a place you can click to follow if you don't. If you feel called to, it does support me in helping me grow and become more visible on Insight Timer, which really helps me, so thank you. You can give a donation if you would like. You can listen to my meditations here in the app. And part of why I had something burning on the stove earlier is because I just finished recording day 1 of my new Insight Timer course that I am in production with, called The End of Self-Gaslighting. So it will be, a few weeks before it's out, and I'm super excited about that. So if you follow me, you'll see when that comes out. If that title resonates with you, just thinking, ooh, the end of self-gaslighting, I have a really valuable resource I can share with you now so you can start practicing and working with ending that habit within yourself. So send me a private message if you'd like that. And I'm also offering my visioning session, which, if this topic of the pause, the tower, the Four of Swords, the star, if this all resonates with you and you've not yet had a session with me, I am gifting that to my community. It's limited in availability, so send me a message if you want to be considered for that process. It's very powerful in getting clarity and a real deep understanding. And it's totally for you. It's actually a form of self-care for you to slow down and receive this process. So reach out if that's interesting. And yeah, let's see. I also, hey Kat, have my next live stream. I'll just go ahead and tell you about it. Oh, it's not on here. Never mind. But if you follow me, you can go to my page, and it's Sunday morning. So the spiritual guidance for the week, where we do a lot more of the cards plus Reiki and Ancestral Clearing. So join for that. And oh yes, also I'm double live streaming this right now on my YouTube channel. So you can follow me there, Facebook, Instagram, check my website. And all of my live streams are there if you want to revisit or if you can't stay or whatever. So, all right. So let's look at the emotional landscape of what this pause place feels like. Looking at already having a tower moment, not yet seeing, like, the dust hasn't settled from the tower. You still may feel confused, overwhelmed, disoriented. There might be restlessness, doubt. You might feel a loss of identity. So especially if you've had like a spiritual experience or a spiritual awakening, you might not feel like you know who you are anymore because you're unbecoming and becoming. So give an emoji in the chat if you can relate to that. There might be a fear of stillness. There might be an unexpected feeling of calm. That again, if you've been maybe in the chaos of the tower, feeling calm can feel maybe eerie or unsettling because you're so used to this energy. So I just want to reassure you that feeling this way doesn't mean there's something wrong, doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're in the process. And even, thinking about that, if you are feeling a certain way and you're judging yourself for how you feel, just to say right there, that's the self-gaslighting pattern. So I have a life coaching client I've been working with for quite a number of months now. And as I was thinking about this topic and this process, you know, they are a perfect example of, you know, being in this process and overcoming and moving through and moving into the star. When we first connected late last year and we did the visioning process, we looked at who they were in that moment, who they were becoming, what they wanted to create, and then everything that was in the way of them creating that. And now it's been 6 or 9 months of working together in coaching, and they have made such miraculous and powerful strides to live into this star energy. And it's been really challenging for them because it's been this deep unbecoming. And what I've noticed, you know, with this person is, you know, there's been a lot of questioning, evaluating relationships, connections in their life, and then taking action to let go of things that aren't serving them anymore, and also getting into like creative action. And they have published a book. They are on their second printing. They are creating, and they are relearning or just learning who this new version of themselves is. And to have the support, you know, of not just doing this alone in a vacuum has been invaluable for them. So we want to look at why this pause is powerful. And I want you to think about if you're relating to all of this. And if we look at this Four of Swords from the filter of like being in the pause, what are the benefits of this? To be in this space. And share in the comments if this is you, what can be the benefits of it? You know, what I've seen in the people I work with and going through my own pauses that I have, what it brings up for me is there's space. And the space helps to integrate lessons from the old version of you. So it's like when we can pause and evaluate, we can look at, you know, what am I bringing forward from that experience? Yeah, time to be alone with self, with spirit, learning to surrender, trust, feeling like there can be quiet, rest, rediscovery, changing perspectives. Love these answers. You know, I'm reminded of a huge experience. It just came to mind. So 10 years ago, I was bitten by a dog on my face when I was living in Bali. And as you can imagine, that was definitely a tower moment. I had to have emergency plastic surgery, and I had a nervous breakdown. I mean, it wasn't diagnosed, but It was self-diagnosed. I was in the hospital 5 times in 8 weeks for various physical things, first with the actual dog bite, and then just complications and psychosomatic symptoms that felt completely physical. But a good friend of mine was a psychiatrist, and I met with him, and he was like, no, your tests are all normal. And I'm like, well, why? What are these physical symptoms? And he's like, that's what a psychosomatic symptom means. It feels very physical, and yet it's mental and emotional. And I ended up, I didn't have to, but I felt like I had to move back to the US and in with my mother, because I just felt like I couldn't live on my own in Asia at that time anymore. So, I spent about a year in the US sort of in this energy. And it was very difficult to be in that space of, oh my God, like, the experience of what happened with the dog bite and everything after, choosing to move back to the US and just try and get my feet on the ground again. And from that experience, I actually ended up doing a life transformational training, and I moved to Southern California, and I had a huge transformation as a result. But being in that in-between space, like before I went to the life transformational training and moving to Southern California, being in that pause was very unsettling. And I didn't have support. Like, I didn't have the support of a coach. I didn't have the external supports that were effective or helpful enough for me. But as I began to take action and move through that, I got clarity. And then as I got my feet firmly planted on the ground, I got to choose, what parts of myself I wanted to carry forward, and what parts, what patterns and parts to leave behind. So what happens, like, what are the dangers if we just try and rush through the pause and just get to the other side and resist this phase? For me, I think rushing into the next thing doesn't allow space for integration, and then I might just recreate the same issues again. Exactly, Bev. Nothing will change. I'll just move the past into the future. Yes, Lisa, there might be a lack of clarity and direction. Ending up, on the hamster wheel. Maybe missing the chance to heal fully. I don't like the word missing the chance, because there's always, my universe doesn't work that way. But you may carry baggage into new beginnings. So although, like, our minds can be in this pattern of, I don't like this, I don't want this, I just want to forget about it, I just want to move on, I want to move forward, and I just want to hurry up and feel this beautiful energy. It makes sense that we would feel that way. And we get to trust the timing. What would it look like to trust? So I want y'all to just pause and reflect for a moment and think about if you are in this space of pause and integration right now. What is it teaching you about yourself? What is this space and this pause teaching you about yourself? And answer in the chat. I think if I look at my dog bite example, and of course, like, I didn't have the awareness I have now. I didn't have the support and the transformations that I've had. You know, I was in the midst of a huge one at that time. But looking back, you know, the lessons that I can see, what I learned about myself was, although that time was very challenging and difficult, I made it through. I had resilience. Although my mind wants to make up a story, I didn't do it great or good enough or well. And I can notice that old voice and choose a higher perspective. I did the best I could. And I still took risks. So Bev is learning to have patience, trust the process. Anastasia, you can remember to send healing energy to yourself and be present. So it's like a call to presence. That's beautiful. Lisa, not everything is as important to me as the world wants it to be. So what I hear in that, that's a great statement, that there's like that your values and the values of the world, of culture, like expectations. You know, I had another place where this all occurred for me during COVID, when my job of 12 and a half years told me if I didn't move back to the US within 6 weeks during the height of COVID on my own dime, I would no longer have a job. And I'd had that job almost 13 years and I'd been remote 8 years. That was definitely a tower moment. And, you know, the values of the world at that time definitely were, oh my God, you have a steady, stable job. Like, you need to keep it. You need to say yes and move back to the US, even though that's not in my value system. But I did not, that was out of alignment with my integrity and my values. And I decided to trust the universe, and then I became a life coach. So I definitely stepped into that transformation. So some ways you can work with this pausing is taking micro pauses, and that can be a form of self-care and being intentional. You could schedule in micro pauses or just have intentions like, okay, I'm really going to focus on pausing, being really slow. You could even do a practice of naming and releasing the old chapter, you know, whatever this tower was for you. You could name your new chapter. You could keep a journal that you could call a becoming journal. and have what you write about be themed and intentioned around becoming. And of course, then the self-care piece and the support piece, like I said, supporting yourself with self-care and then surrounding yourself with safe and supportive people. I'm glad that I give you hope. It's wonderful. So we're going to do a short guided practice just for a few moments, where we're going to breathe. So, hi Jerry. So I invite you all to come into a closed eye space with me here and now. And just feel the body on the place that you're on. Feel the heaviness and weight of the body, the support of the chair or the surface. And just take a few mindful breaths, deeper and fuller, in and out. And on the inhale, I want you to breathe in the energy of pause, of pausing. And bringing that energy into your body, of sacred pause. You could also practice breathing in patience. Feel that in the interior of your body. And breathing in acceptance. And feeling what that would feel like. Just to fully accept this in-between space right now that you may be in. Just feeling everything soften inside. Breathing in surrender. Breathing in trust. And just notice which of those energies feels most nourishing for you. Take a few more slow, conscious breaths in with those energies. Maybe allowing resonates with some of you. And also trying on the energy of not needing to do anything right now. There's a teaching from the Way of Mastery. It's a meditation, simple practice. Just considering, I need do nothing. I need do nothing. And just feel the relief and relaxation of that. Notice if the mind wants to argue. And just allow in this moment, I need do nothing. And now as you breathe out, focus on releasing the energy of urgency. That you might exhale with sound or a sigh. And just try that on as you release urgency. As you release striving. You may yawn, you may feel like moving the body, and just allow and follow that impulse. Releasing striving, urgency on the exhale. Releasing efforting. And you may want to play with noticing and creating the exhale being longer than the inhale. And you may count internally with that. You might do an in breath of 2, an out breath of 4, an in breath of 4, an out breath of 6. You can breathe in whatever expansive energy resonates with you that we felt into. And then relax on the exhale and release. Energies of efforting, urgency, striving, controlling, impatience. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just imagining that 4 of Swords card and the energy of that card. Rest and rejuvenation, relaxation. I'm just now thinking back to everything we've talked about today, the tower moment, the breakdown, the challenge, the pause, the unbecoming and the becoming, the star, the transformation, where you're going. And see what other insights are there for you as a result of this deep dive today. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And as you do, pause. Pause before snapping back to looking at me on your phone or whatever, checking something. And just integrating those energies. And just feeling all of the energies and everything we've talked about today, feeling that in your body with your eyes open. So this pause is the birthplace of who you're becoming. Honor it, and it will grow you into your next chapter. So this is the birthplace of who you're becoming. By Kat. Summer Star, welcome. Good to see you and be here today. Jessica, if you did miss this and you want to review it on my YouTube channel, which is my name, you can catch this entire session. Ooh, wow. There's suddenly a lot of rain. What a perfect time after this beautiful session, this beautiful process, to have the energy of cleansing. It's quite heavy. I don't know if you can hear it. Welcome, Chris. So, and Jessica and anyone else just reviewing the cards, you know, this pause that we're talking about is in between the tower and the transformation of the star. So please follow me here on Insight Timer. If you don't already, I will be live again Sunday morning, and we do spirit messages, spiritual guidance for the week with lots of card decks as a collective reading, and Reiki and Ancestral Clearing. So if this stirred something in you and you'd like to go deeper, I am offering my one-on-one visioning session where we basically look at the dynamics of everything that we've talked about today. It is a gift to anybody who has never experienced a session with me before of any kind. And we will explore where you are now, where you want to be, what's in the way, so that you can move through the pause with clarity in next steps. So you can go to my profile here now on Insight Timer and send me a message to request that if you would like, if you feel called to do so. You can also give a donation here is the place you can do that. Thank you, Chris, J.E., Anastasia. You're very welcome. And I'm going to be having more live streams of this format where we dive deeply into themes and topics that are resonant for you in your journey so that you can move through whatever stage on your path you're in with more clarity, ease, and, you know, the clarity bringing action for you, actions that you can take. So, yeah, and you can follow me, as I said, on my YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, stay in touch. I also have a group here, an Insight Timer called Natalie's Healing Circle. And we can stay in touch that way as well. I make announcements in there. And yeah, if anybody did resonate, the brief bit I talked about self-gaslighting, and you want my powerful resource, it's a 2-page resource that can give you clear, actionable steps to help you start noticing and ending the pattern of self-gaslighting that can be so prevalent in our lives. And as I said, stay tuned for the Insight Timer course I am creating by the same name. You're welcome, Dawn. Thank you all for joining. I will see you Sunday morning in the Western Hemisphere. And much love. Namaste.